Hello, everybody. I hope you're well and welcome back to... Sorry, oh my God. Welcome back to Voicenotes with Jordan Theresa. I'm so sorry. I'm so tired today that I am like really fighting the urge to yawn right now. Like I'm so sleepy. Nothing crazy. I literally went to the pub last night and I didn't go to bed because I was yapping too much. I didn't go to bed till like 1 a.m. and I'm someone who I'm like pretty regimented with my sleeping routine. I will say that my sleeping routine has been more disrupted now that I take medication for my ADHD pretty consistently. I take medication for my ADHD 4 times a week, and those are the days that, again, I don't sleep that badly. It's just I'm a very regimented, like by 10:30 I'm sparko. I like to be in bed, electric blanket on at 9 p.m. But like when I take my medication, it usually takes me like a good hour or two to fall asleep because obviously it's like a stimulant. But yesterday, so I'm very regimented with my sleep, especially on a weekday. But yesterday I was at the pub. I only had a cider and a half. Like I didn't even get drunk. I'm not even hungover. We don't need another hungover episode on our hands, girls. But I am a little bit sleepy, but how is everybody doing today? Oh God, laptop's falling off. How has everybody's weeks been? My week's been pretty good because it's my birthday week. When I upload this on Monday, my birthday is the 25th of October. It would have been on Saturday. But yeah, no, I'm really like excited for my birthday. I quite like my birthday. I think the reason why I like my birthday is because I went through like many years of my life absolutely hating my birthday, because growing up I didn't have like loads of friends and stuff, and I just like never liked my birthday. I didn't like the pressure. Even now I think the pressure gets to anyone, doesn't it? Like my birthday for the past 4 years, apart from this year actually, the past 4 years my birthday's been joint with one of my friend Connor's, who's born the day before me, and I love a joint birthday moment because it takes the pressure off like people coming to something for me, if that makes sense. But yeah, no, I'm really excited. I'm having like a pretty low-key birthday this year, this weekend. So tomorrow I'm going for dinner with my family, and then the Saturday me and my girlfriends, we're gonna go shopping. I have 700 quid in my vintage balance and a dream, which I'm so excited for. I really want to like buy some new clothes. It's been a while since I've like guys, I love clothes. I love clothes so much. So it's been a while. So we're going to go shopping and then go for dinner. And then Sunday, I was going to go to the car boot in the morning, but I just haven't really got time, to be honest, because I need to finish writing a video essay before Monday. So we're going to go for drinks and a roast. I'm very, very excited. And this is the thing. God, you guys know me. I'm a 365 party girl. Jordan, where's the night out? My birthday night out is actually going to be on Halloween. And I've said this before, I'm going to fold. I'm very excited. I will say that there is something that feels like particularly like audacious about the fact that my birthday plans span over more than a weekend. Like I am getting like so like embarrassed. Like asking people to come to like more than one birthday celebration. Like I'm literally like cringing just thinking about it. And it makes me like truly admire people that have a birthday month, like spreading their birthday plans over the entire month. I think is so, I mean, is it chic? I think it's like outrageous, but in a good way. Like nobody birthday monthed the way that my sister birthday months. It was my sister's 30th in August, and there's no criticism to her at all. It was honestly admirable how long she dragged her birthday out. And this is the thing, is that it wasn't even necessarily her fault. Like our parents are separated, so like we have to do 2 separate family things, and then we have to do like an extended family thing, and then she invites me to like her friends thing. So there's like a lot of celebrations going on. So I remember I started celebrating her birthday on like the 1st of August and finished on like the 8th of September, and I felt like I was like, my sister's birthday's never ending. And I remember her boyfriend, who is like, again, such a lovely gesture, like so sweet, made us wanted to do like a compilation video of like all of her loved ones saying happy birthday to her. And like it's so funny because you would think that me, someone who's like, a YouTuber and like a podcaster, I do like essentially camera presenting for a living day in, day out. You think that I would be good at this. I was so awkward in this video because I just didn't know what to say, because I think that like I just was like, I don't even know what to say because I'm gonna say happy birthday to her face when I see her. So I was just being really awkward, and then I like deflected by showing boobs. But yeah, no, I already feel like ridiculously audacious having my birthday span over like 2 weeks. So I admire my sister for managing to do it over a month. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. But yeah, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't have a ton to talk about in this intro. I'm going to keep it real. I don't really have anything because I feel like I've been really yapping the house down in my intros, and I feel like I will have like a really juicy intro in the next episode, because obviously it'll be like post birthday. So, you know, oh my God, shall I do a birthday haul? You know what? Reject modernity, embrace tradition. Let's bring birthday hauls back onto YouTube. But yeah, no, do I have any thoughts of the week? It's weird. I didn't write down any thoughts of the week, but I did have like a thought that like popped. Actually, you know what I'm going to say? I had a thought that popped into my head like literally an hour ago, and it still is staying in my head. So it counts as the thought of the week. A little bit of a last minute entry to thoughts of the week, guys. My thought of the week this week is, I feel like I've made it pretty clear how much I hate leaf blowers. Like, I think that they are pointless. I hate them so much. They are, you know, why not suck the leaves up? Why blow them around? And it's so noisy. And I think it's like a stimulation thing. It's a stimulation thing. I have another thing to say about stimulation in just a moment. Like, is it a stimulation thing, or does nobody like displeasurable, unpleasant, loud noises? I don't think that's something that's like that's like exclusive to me feeling overstimulated. But I had like a pretty like a strong hatred for leaf blowers. And then the reason that came in my head was because someone started leaf blowing in the next door's garden. And I was like, you know, gazing out of the window like a proper grumpy neighbor, like, when is this person going to stop? And I couldn't help but notice how fun it looked. And now I'm thinking, because first of all, I'm thinking of the episode of SpongeBob when they get the leaf blowers. And now I'm thinking, is my hatred for leaf blowers rooted in a desire to want to partake in leaf blowing? Much to think about. But another thing I was thinking about, guys, is this is a thought of the week? No, this is probably an extension on the intro, actually. It's cold. It's cold. I had to switch my heating back on. Martin Lewis, money saving expert, I failed you. I had to put my heating back on. I haven't put my heating on in about 6 months. And this is the thing, I was like hardcore chilling in my dressing gown before I uploaded this episode. And I was recorded this episode. And I was going to, this is the thing, you guys know me. I am not above recording a podcast episode in my dressing gown. Like, I've been on this podcast getting drunk. I've been on this podcast hungover. I think the sleepy lazy episode is due. But this is the thing. I don't think that I could record an episode in my dressing gown because, confession, I have such a grubby dressing gown. I have a really grubby dressing gown. And this is nothing to do with, like, it's no, like, part of the fact that I don't wash it enough. I wash my dressing gown fairly regularly. There's, like, multiple reasons why I have a grubby dressing gown. Number one is I do my makeup in it. I wear my dressing gown when I do my makeup. Even when I'm like fully dressed, I'll put my dressing gown over the top so I don't get makeup on my clothes. And I think a big reason why I still wear my dressing gown when I do my makeup is, I don't know if anyone else gets like this, but I get like, I think I have some sort of sensory issues around my hands sometimes where no one likes the feeling of stuff being on their hands. I understand that. No one likes the feeling of like, you know, stickiness, stuff like that. But like, I'm talking that whenever I'm doing my makeup, when I like have foundation, anything between every single stage, I have to like wipe my hands on my dressing gown because I don't like the feeling of like stuff, whether it's like makeup, powder. When I'm eating, if I'm eating like a burger or even, guys, a packet of crisps or a sandwich, I have to have like a napkin next to me or on my lap. And every time I pick up the food, like bite into it and put it down, I have to wipe my hands on the napkin. Otherwise, I just feel so disgusting and I absolutely hate day, every second. So that's one thing. My dressing gown is covered in makeup. And also it's covered in makeup. And me and Jack, we sort of like unofficially share toothpaste sometimes, depending on who's run out. And I ran out of my toothpaste and I started using his one, which was like this like Colgate purple reveal. And it is like this bright blue, this bright blue toothpaste. And this thing, again, maybe this makes me a bit of a grubby girl, but after I brush my teeth, I tried to sort of, not even, you know what, it's not even that. When I brush my teeth, if the toothpaste starts dripping down my face, I have to wipe it off. So my dressing gown is baby pink fluffy, covered in grubby makeup with one blue sleeve from when I wipe my face. From when I'm brushing my teeth. Like, so that's not quite like the cozy vibe we're going for. That's like a real grubby vibe. But speaking of, being as I'm not wearing my dressing gown, shall we do a little outfit of the day? This is a pretty exciting outfit of the day for me because I am wearing we'll get onto that. So firstly, I have this top, which is from a brand called Niippy Studios, which is based in London. It's like off the shoulder black with these little tie-up bows. This was like a couple years ago and I had to get this on Depop. I don't even think they sell this anymore, but it's so flattering. The material feels really, really good as well. The star of the show though, and this is a really lovely top, but the star of the show, guys, I think this is a big announcement. I bought a pair of jeans off of the internet and they actually fit me. They actually fit me. I've shared like it's not even a worry, it's truly like not a big deal at all, but I feel like I have quite wide hips and I really struggle to find clothes that fit me. And also my weight fluctuates quite a lot. It's fluctuated a lot recently actually, like all of my trousers that I got tailored like last year are all falling down. But I ordered this pair of jeans. It is from Vivien's Vintage. I actually got it from her Tilt live stream, which is like this live stream selling app. And guys, look at these jeans. Look at these jeans, guys. If you're not watching, they're like these sort of bluey gray distressed. They're actually, I would probably describe them as straight leg. They're like not baggy. I have a particular, I always forget what the opposite word for aversion is. I am particularly drawn to like trousers that are like ridiculously too big for me. But I've been wanting to delve more into like a slimmer silhouette with a jean. I honestly, guys, these jeans are so slim to me that I feel like I'm wearing skinny jeans. But I think that like the slimmer silhouette can look a little more, I guess, like put together in a way. Also, all of my baggy trousers are literally falling off of me, so I couldn't even wear them if I wanted to. And I think I've always been quite apprehensive to like get into sort of these more straighter leg trousers, because I feel like all of these like sort of skinny jean trends are like being fronted by people that are literally like so slim. But I found a pair of jeans that I really like and I'm really happy with them. Don't know what shoes I'm going to wear them with though. But this is the thing. These are literally loose flared jeans basically, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm wearing skinny jeans. I'm bringing skinny jeans back. Come on, indie sleaze. And just before we get into today's episode, if you are looking for more voice note content, don't forget to subscribe to the Substack. Not only do we have content available for everyone, we have some written posts to go alongside a few of the episodes. I'm pretty active on notes, but also if you want to become a paid subscriber, there is bonus voice notes content. We have bonus episodes over there. Obviously, you want to make it very clear. You guys know this whenever I promote the Substack. It's absolutely no pressure. It just exists for people who want to have bonus content. It also gives me an avenue to make more voice notes content because you know how much I love doing this. We have 3 bonus episodes on there at the moment. We're building up a catalogue. We have got a bonus episode about Sydney Sweeney and Sabrina Carpenter, one about Bonnie Blue, and most recently, Harry Potter adults, J.K. Rowling, Emma Watson, Keira Knightley, and essentially sort of the debate around Harry Potter and separating the art from the artist, which was really interesting to discuss. I've been honestly like, I wouldn't even describe it as like a J.K. Rowling rabbit hole, because I've been pretty, like I've over the years have watched so many video essays about J.K. Rowling that it felt good to be able to make an episode and I feel like put together like all of the knowledge that I have been like building up over the years. And it was a really interesting episode, really sad, really, really sad. But if you do want to take a listen to the bonus episodes, and also we do live streams over there. There's a little exclusive group chat that I like to yap on. But yes, feel free to subscribe if you wish. In today's episode of Voicenotes with Jordan Theresa, we are going to be talking about something which this topic was requested, and I just want to thank the person who requested it because I think this is genius. I want to talk about the ick. I want to talk about the ick because I don't think I've ever seen what is essentially social media slang, the ick. Even though the ick originated off of social media, it really gained traction and picked up on reality TV and social media, gain not only this much traction, but have like so much cultural staying power that I do believe the term the ick is going to remain this relevant for a very, very long time because it is so relatable, because this word resonates with so many people. I especially find this interesting because the ick is sort of inherently indefinable. It's deeply subjective. So the fact that it's resonated with so many people, I find so interesting, and I really want to explore in today's episode. Before we get into it though, there were 2 articles which massively helped me with my research of this episode, which is Got the Ick When a Sudden Pang of Disgust Ruins Your Romance by Rick Samada for The Guardian, and What's Most Likely to Give Daters the Ick by Gary W. Lewandowski, Junior PhD, he's got a PhD guys, for Psychology Today. And obviously I make these episodes from a woman's perspective, and I can imagine that if you're a woman listening to this, you think of the ick as something which is very women dominated. And don't get me wrong, it's reported and been studied that more women get the ick than men, and we are going to get into that. But it is not just women who get the ick. But again, we're going to get onto, there's gender dynamics at play, guys. I am so excited to get into this episode. We're exploring the ick, what it means, the gender dynamics of the ick, and also essentially what the ick represents. Like, is the ick, when you get the ick, is it representative of something deeper? I want to almost get into like the psychology of the ick. So before we get into that though, let's define what the ick is. The ick is when you very quickly, very suddenly become turned off by someone. Whatever, sexual or romantic attraction you have had to them has seemingly disappeared in an instant, usually brought on by an action of theirs. It's actually, I think the reason why I like the word the ick so much is because the ick is a word that sounds like what it is. Like when someone gets the ick, like it's like the ick. Because the ick is subjective, what the ick is to people, it can be very, very broad. It can be from very like silly and frivolous behaviors to more serious incompatibilities is what people describe as their icks. So to me, in my opinion, the ick is something which is silly and frivolous, and it also happens when you first start dating someone. Personally, and look, obviously people are allowed to define the ick however they want, but I think when people say, oh, I've gotten the ick from him, 3 years into our relationship, I actually wouldn't define that as the ick. I would define that as like you've lost attraction from your partner because of what I can imagine is some deep incompatibilities and unattractive behavior. I actually think that is very different from getting the ick with someone you've just started dating because you've seen their legs dangling off the end of a chair. When your long-term partner begins turning you off, that is a loss of attraction. I think that's actually a lot deeper than quote unquote the ick. Because again, as I said, the ick to me is something that is silly and frivolous. It's very low stakes, but I do think that psychologically, I think that what people get icked out by, how prone people are to getting the ick, could possibly say something deeper about them. But also, the ick is completely different to everyone. It's completely up to you guys what you define as the ick. But again, to me, the ick is lighthearted. It's tongue-in-cheek, Danielle. It's tongue-in-cheek. It's funny. So some frivolous icks from women about men, which I've read online, are when his legs dangle off of a chair, when he chases a ping pong ball, tomato sauce around the mouth, or so a friend of mine went on a date with this guy and he ordered for dessert just 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream. Which, to be fair, and this is the thing, they weren't like an Italian, it wasn't like a gelato. It was like, I'm ordering a real dessert, order a real dessert. Saying yippee when they hold the TV remote high to change the TV channel. When they Shazam a song in the backseat or in the club, I'm guilty of this. I Shazam songs in the club all the time. When they run with a rucksack, when they own a pencil case. And, but also there are icks which are related specifically to inducing feelings of disgust, such as, eating loudly, blowing your nose, coughing up phlegm, farting, talking about your bathroom habits. This is why so many women that I know, I don't know whether men who date women are the same, but a lot of women that I know who date men, like, they will not poop in the guy that they've been like seeing's house for like an extremely, extremely long time. Like, that is a line that you really cross. It's when you're going into the ether. But also, as I mentioned, the ick is a very broad term, and there are also branches of, not silly, not frivolous, not disgusting icks, and I would call these more incompatibilities or turn-offs. But again, I'm not the ick police. These include being right-wing, being rude to customer service staff, dressing badly. Sorry, I feel like dressing badly is nowhere near as bad as being right-wing. Replying too quickly. Again, this is more of the replying too quickly one is definitely a whole... That's something that you've got. If your ick from someone you're dating is that they reply too quickly, you've got to start looking inwards, babe. Getting angry, playing a video game. I think something which is really interesting, which I found in my research, is that there is a difference between the most commonly reported icks amongst women and the most commonly reported icks amongst men. We are going to get into the gender dynamics of the ick literally in just a moment. But firstly, guys, we're going to have fun here. Let me talk about my personal icks. And I want to say that, I think that a lot of people interchange ick and deal breaker. So like, for example, to me, being right-wing isn't an ick. Being right-wing is a deal breaker. But my personal icks, as in like the silly, frivolous ones, and again, this is one of those things, for the right person, you won't get the ick. But also, that can be argued as well, but we'll get to that in a second. I think the thought of... So stupid. Someone trying to land a plane and then it doesn't work and they have to like go back up and circle back and try again. No. I think this one's a pretty plausible one. When someone brings up the dating app that you met on a date, like when someone brings up Hinge on a date, makes me feel really sick because it's sort of like, this like dominates your brain, like dating. It makes me think that they use dating apps a lot and then it makes me not trust them. I remember I really got the ick from this guy once because he mentioned the dating app that he'd asked me how long I'd been on that dating. Not even, that sounds bad, but like basically he brought up the dating app on our day and it just made me feel really weird and like icked. It literally gave me the ick. I remember I don't really talk about dates I don't like talk about my dating life a lot, but I did get like heavy ick on that date. But I think the reason why I got the ick on that date was because he was like quite a bit older than me, and when we were chatting on dating app, he was like talking about how he was French, and then I was like, oh, okay, and then I met him and he was British French, and you know who else is British French? My dad. So it was just really like, he was a lot older than me, he was quite a bit older than me. He was the same nationality as my father. It just felt a little bit like the jokes were writing themselves. It felt very on the nose. I felt like I was like going to cut to a camera or something. So that gave me the ick as well. And then another one, again, this is something which I think is like a reflection of myself. Like, I don't think that like anyone is doing anything wrong by doing this. I really get the ick about the thought of someone sleeping naked. I don't know. It just feels like so exposing, and it feels so like I don't sleep naked. Like, I have to be wearing underwear at least when I sleep. I usually sleep in like underwear and t-shirt. But like, and in the summer I'll just wear underwear because I get too hot. But like, I don't know. It's like the sleeping naked thing also like really like icks me out. But let's get on to the origins of the ick. I first learned about the ick from from my mum. Icon Larissa. My mum once, she rang me to tell me this because she thought it was so hilarious that she had found this thread on a website. I can't remember which website she uses. She found this thread about the ick and she'd never heard about it before, and she explained it to me and she thought it was the funniest thing since, I was about to say the funniest thing since sliced bread. What am I talking about? She thought it was hysterical, understandably so. This was in like 2017, before I feel like the ick truly entered like the cultural like lexicon, that my mum was telling me about the ick. And now whenever I like talk about that, literally I told my mum I was making this podcast and I like rang her to tell her because I knew that she would find it so funny. And the ick that my mum found the most hilarious was this woman like had to stop seeing this guy because she saw him fall down the stairs. Like, it's one of those things where like it's actually like it's actually so cruel, but like it's one of those things where you sort of like get it. But anyways, as Rick Samada writes for The Guardian, the origins of the ick can be traced back to the TV show Ally McBeal. It was also mentioned in Sex and the City and popularized on reality TV. I remember very vividly Montana in season 3 of Love Island explaining to the girls why she'd gotten the ick from Sam, and so many of the girls didn't even know what the ick was. So the ick like definitely didn't gain like a lot of like, I guess it didn't go mainstream until I'd probably say maybe 2019, 2020. Not only did reality TV popularize the term the ick, but also social media popularized the ick. I feel like the ick is like such like Vox Pop street interview fodder, like asking someone what their ick is. I honestly, in a way, is talking about icks become an ick? That is a good question to pose. Has talking about icks become an ick itself? And I think the reason why the ick has had so much cultural staying power and remains so culturally relevant is because it is just so relatable. All of a sudden having that moment of clarity and being completely turned off by someone you're dating. Now, I know that as I'm recording this episode, there will be some people in the comments raising pretty valid concerns that is talking about someone giving you the ick, laughing about the ick. Is it cruel? Like, is this entire thing cruel? Is, laughing at a woman breaking up with a guy that she was seeing because he fell down the stairs cruel? And I think to answer this question, firstly, we need to talk about the gender dynamics of the ick. Within ick discourse, I can't help but notice the gender dynamics. It seems that a lot more women than men seemingly get the ick, or at least discuss the ick openly. And it's not just this. I have also noticed that when men sort of join in with this ick trend, or when men share what their icks are, something feels a little bit off. And I wanted to explore that further in this episode. Throughout this segment, I'll be referencing the Psychology Today article, which I mentioned at the beginning of this episode. According to a study conducted by Collison et al. 2025, women were not only more familiar with the concept of the ick, 63% of women knowing what the ick was versus 39% of men, but women are more likely to experience the ick, with 75% of women in the study experiencing the ick versus 57% of men. This study also broke down the most common icks on TikTok between men and women. And this is something I find really interesting. So strap in. I'm about to knock your boots off, or whatever the phrase is. 40% of women's icks are related to their male partners being too feminine, such as laying his head on your shoulder. 28% were related to public embarrassment, like falling over or shazamming a song in the club. 22% is annoying speech / bad pickup lines, the whole like go into the shower without me. 14% fashion faux pas, 14% misogynistic behavior, 9% other / frivolous, like, flip-flops slapping on the floor, 6% physical appearance, like seeing their butt crack, and 5% being too trendy. And before we explore those a little more deeply, the most common men's icks on TikTok are 29% being overly trendy, such as being into astrology, 21% public embarrassment, like falling over, 21% annoying speech, like using internet slang, 15% physical appearance, like being short, 13% too masculine, such as spitting gum out into the, I wrote in my notes, spitting gum into the bin like a bloke. 10% are overly focused on social media, cringy captions on their Instagram pictures, etc. 10% unspecified, such as describing girls that she just met as her best friends. Okay, so your ick is women that want to build community. So your ick is women who are kind, right. And 8% vanity, 2 into makeup and fake tan. And these are really interesting, and I want to start with the men. And don't worry, look, I've got my criticisms with women's icks. We're going to get into that. But I often think that men who have icks outside of the silly and frivolous ones, I read this article where a guy said he got the ick from a girl because her name was like Abby Jones. And he was like, who's called Abby Jones? That's the most boring name I've ever heard. Apart from like the silly and frivolous ones, I think that men having icks doesn't really work because men's icks often feel a lot more loaded than women's. So for example, both common icks amongst men and women are when someone is overly trendy. 29% of men in the study cited this compared to 5% of women. Although both are technically complaining about the same thing, there has been a long history of women being mocked for not just liking popular things, but liking things which are popular with women, like astrology, boy bands, Taylor Swift. So when men cite a woman being into astrology as an ick, it doesn't feel like this funny and light-hearted joke. It feels like another man amongst a long line of men mocking women for their harmless shared interests. Both men and women cited annoying speech as an ick, 22% of women and 21% of men. What women found to be annoying speech was often related to bad pickup lines, men's being weird slang. But again, there has been a long history of women being mocked for the way that they speak. There is a long history of men talking over women. Even now within contemporary society, women are mocked for their accents, vocal fries, saying and like, uptalk. I constantly get negative comments over, usually on my main channel, about the fact that I use a lot of uptalk. When so much of the way that women speak is molded by trying to portray themselves as being friendly and as unthreatening as possible, because that is the way we've been socialized. So again, men saying that influencer voice and vocal fry is their ick doesn't feel like this funny and light-hearted thing. It feels very loaded. It doesn't feel very nice. It maybe even feels a little misogynistic. And I do think part of what keeps these conversations of women's icks pretty funny and light-hearted is the fact that women are punching up. And I'm not saying that men aren't allowed to be icked out by women falling over, or if they're rude to customer service workers, or if they have a boring name, but quite a lot of men's icks discourse feels like them punching down and mocking women, and it just doesn't work. But ladies, I am not letting you girls off the hook. As much as I would love to, you guys know me, I love the girls, but I'm not going to let you girls off the hook, because let's address, in the words of Alexandra Burke, who brought this phrase over to the UK, the elephant in the room. The most common ick amongst women on TikTok was related to men being too feminine. And this is often incredibly frivolous, him leaning his head on your shoulder, his feet dangling off of a chair, even chasing a ping pong ball can probably be seen as like not very masculine. And I previously discussed this in my episode about performative males, but so much of what women are cringed out by from men is related to seeing them as effeminate, such as, caring about the way that they dress, being into fashion trends, being active on social media, posting TikToks. And of course, this, our sort of aversion to effeminate men is rooted in misogyny, is rooted in the fact that femininity is seen as something bad, it's seen as something lesser than, and being socialized within patriarchy, who set that system up. But also it's up to us as women to not uphold this system, and it is up to us to really think about, and this is the thing, I know people are going to say that I'm like doing too much right now, but I think it's worth really thinking about and diving into our icks and trying to figure out what they really mean. I do think that the phrase the ick can desensitize the language of not being attracted to someone or being sort of turned off by someone. And I think sometimes people can sound a bit mean when talking about their icks. And again, this isn't related to the very silly and frivolous ones. I'm not here to rain on anyone's ick parade. I also find this funny. And I'm not even necessarily talking about the sort of incompatibility ones and the deal breaker ones, but also, mocking women for liking popular things, or, using internet slang feels a little mean. But also I think there's another really great example of how the phrase the ick can desensitize our language, and we perhaps can't realize how cruel we're sounding, is this season's Married at First Sight UK, which I've totally fallen off with with, by the way, because I started watching Married at First Sight Australia, last year's one, which is amazing. No spoilers, please. I'm halfway through. A quick SparkNotes summary of the Married at First Sight debacle that I'm referencing. Sarah is coupled up with Dean and makes it very clear from the get-go that she does not typically date men who are as big as Dean. And she can be pretty callous in her comments about him, saying she'd be attracted to him if he got tattoos and lost some weight. When Sarah is reunited with the other couples at the first dinner party, she is going around telling everyone that Dean has given her the ick. Again, making comments about his weight and also his inclination for rapping. And I think that Sarah would have been more aware of the cruelty of her words if she was going around to everyone saying she wasn't attracted to him. Instead, she's saying things like, you know, the sort of ick, it feels a lot more lighthearted and it adds this sort of certain lightness, but that doesn't make it right and that doesn't make her behavior not cruel. And again, I'm not trying to be the ick police. I think a majority of ick jokes and discourse is really funny. And if Sarah could confided in a couple of people that specifically Dean's rapping gave her the ick, I wouldn't have a problem with it at all. But she didn't do that. And this interchangeability between something giving you the ick and something you find, you know, very unattractive or something that turns you off is something that did catch my attention. Now that we've spoken about gender dynamics, let's talk about the psychology of the ick and what it means, why it's such a commonly reported phenomenon. And of course, most of this is just going to be theorizing, but I found this all really interesting to research and talk about. Essentially, I sort of want to get to the bottom of why do people get the ick? Is it really simple as you just aren't attracted to this person anymore? It's just the way our brains work? Or is there something more to it? I think there are so many things that can contribute to people very suddenly getting the ick. I think it's especially prone when you begin dating someone because you're sort of on like high vigilance, high alert mode to this person. You are thinking about them a lot because you're thinking about your feelings towards them, because you're trying to figure out whether you like them or not, whether you want to be in a relationship with them. You're scanning them for flaws. You're very aware of their behavior. You're very aware of your feelings towards their behavior and how their behavior makes you feel. I think one possible root cause of the ick is the fact that maybe you just didn't like the person that much in the first place. Many people argue that situations don't give you the ick, people do. And I also think there is this, sort of pressure amongst single people to always be dating, to always have someone on the go. I also think there's like I guess like it sounds a bit obvious to say, but there is like a loneliness that comes with when you're not dating someone, when you don't have someone to just see you once a week, even if you just go for drinks and shag. It does fill a kind of void when you're seeing someone, even if you don't really like them that much or you don't see it going long term. And I think, when you're seeing someone that deep down, you don't really like that much, all of their behavior is very prone to giving you the ick because you don't romantically have feelings for them. Also, I think people, they keep seeing people that, deep down, they know they're not compatible with. This is outside of casual relationships, by the way. They keep seeing people that, they don't really like that much. Deep down, they know they're not very compatible. And it manifests in being icked out by something quite frivolous. Almost as like your brain is like scrambling for a way to justify why you don't like this person, which I think can make these people like particularly ick. There's a word that I'm looking for, like ick. Ick prone. These people can be particularly ick prone. But also, and this is sort of my theory, another thing which I think the ick can be chalked up to is I do think getting the ick is another form of avoidant behavior. Ending something before a person can get too close to you. Rejecting someone before they get the chance to reject you. Icks can very easily be a projection. And avoidant behavior is often rooted in anxiety, commitment issues, etc. I would say that I was the most ick prone when I was dating after being very burned. And I was, as in by burned, as mean I had like some bad experiences and I'd been a little bit hurt in the past, that I was particularly ick prone on dates when I didn't really want to be dating because I was scared of being hurt again. And you sort of have to push through those things because that like it's not really, of course there can be people that you're not attracted to, but I was getting icked out really, really easily. And I knew that it was related to the fact that I was really, really scared of liking someone again because I had my feelings hurt in the past. I also think that the ick can come when the person you're seeing is showing behaviors that prove that they are a human being. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like a lot of us I had a very bad habit of essentially building up this fantasy version of someone in my head when I started dating them. And often I actually liked the fantasy version of them more than I liked the actual person that was sat in front of me. You build up this fantasy of someone, and when they show like human behaviors, like, you know, tripping over or having a sniffly nose or shazamming a song in the club, that sort of fantasy in your head of them begins to fall apart. And I think that's partly where my like ick from people sleeping naked comes from. Maybe it sort of represents the fact that they are a human being, or it also could be related to, I guess, a sense of intimacy that I like used to feel a little bit like about. I still get the ick from people sleeping naked. Not that much has changed. I do think that the ick can also be another way that pickiness has manifested amongst young people. Dating apps have widened our dating circles so much that not only are young people prone to dating FOMO, what if there is a better option out there for me, but people are much more disposable than they ever were before. You can mindlessly end things with someone over something frivolous which gave you the ick and not think anything of it because they can so easily be replaced. I think people are a lot less inclined to work at something and push through something than they were 20, 30 years ago. Essentially, my key takeaway is, first of all, not trying to be the ick please. Ick discourse and ick convo can be very funny. But also I think it's worth exploring our icks. Sometimes the ick really is just you didn't like them that much in the first place. But also, I think the ick can really be chalked up to a form of avoidant behavior. If you're getting the ick from something, explore it deeply. Why is that? Is there something you fear? Also, I think as women, we should really explore whether our icks are related to seeing men as more feminine and not being masculine enough, and try and sort of unlearn that habit, unlearn that behavior. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This felt like a bit of a short and sweet one, but I was really, really looking forward to this. I had so much fun researching it. I really enjoyed recording this episode. And yes, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you soon for the next one. Bye.